What's the silliest way you managed to get laid? This is sort of a comedy of errors. I was dancing with a girl at a frat party. She was wearing this club dress with zippers all over it in odd places. I figured the zippers were fake and thought it would be funny to unzip them while we were dancing. So I reached up and zip. And ABB popped out at me. Not only did the zippers work, she was not wearing a bra. In a heartbeat. Trying to recover from my mistake, I tried to zip it back up. Some tiny part of my brain realized this was a bad idea. Because Neela. So my other hand shoots up to save the day and tries to poke her Neela back in. So I shut the zipper. As much as I can, but now 2 fingers are a bit stuck inside her dress. Pressing her Neela. Yes. I did not pull them out. Just zipped right up to them and they are stuck. I do want to pull back because something might rip or get exposed again. Can't unzip because back where I started this mess. At this point I just looked at her face and I must have had the most helpless idiot look. She is pretty angry. I blurt out. I swear. I thought they were fake. It. The zipper. I meant the zipper. Not the TTS. The TS are fantastic. Clearly not fake. I mean. I'm sorry. Oh it just kill me now. She laughed so hard, I thought she was going to pass out. After what felt like 10 minutes she finally reached up and unzipped enough to free my fingers. I just kind of stood there like an idiot and kept trying to apologize. She must like idiots. Later that night I got to unzip the rest of the dress. When I was a teenager, there was a woman on the same crew as me. We were having drinks after racing and the pee bladders kicked in. Ended up on the same pee cycle. Joked with her that I might as well just go in with her. She says, what's stopping you? Ended up having sex in the bathroom. She lived a half mile from there. So that was just the appetizer. I let myself into my girlfriend's place and had a few hours to kill. So I cleaned up her room and did some of her laundry so she'd have clean clothes for our date that night. Having never laundered women's lingerie before, I read the cleaning instructions. Put the dirty panties inside an old pillowcase. Then threw the case and the rest of the clothes into the washing machine. Girlfriend was so impressed that I took the time to wash her favorite underwear correctly. She immediately sucked and FK'd me when she found out. Edit, another girlfriend furiously FK'd me when I assembled an IKEA bookshelf that her previous 2 boyfriends had failed to assemble. It was super easy and took about 20 minutes, she was in absolute awe. I kinda felt bad for her. When I was 19 I was into this French girl I had met and I really wanted to F her. I was with a few guys just drinking and we started talking about girls. I started saying how I wanted this girl to blow me. I guess one of the guys was into her, maybe an ex-BF. Can't remember because apparently he texted her about it. I got a text from her that night saying something like, what the F, why are you telling people that I sucked your D? I responded with, whoa no, I never said that you sucked me D. I said that I wanted you to. We hung out the next day and she sucked my D lol. Knew her for a long time. Saw her at a party and gave her my number for an unrelated and innocent reason. She sent me a text so I had her number. Obviously knowing who it was I responded, who is this? She replied with her name. I responded with, are you hot? And she sent a picture without a shirt on but with her arm covering her boobs. I proceeded to pretend I was more drunk than I was and asked her to drive my truck home for me. She told her friend to drive her car home and she would see her in the morning. Score. First Tinder date. We got drunk. He went to the bathroom and I undressed in the meantime. He came back to me posing naked on his bed and I got laid. The naked man strikes back. My wife used to have hair that was pretty long. She'd grown it out for our wedding and kept it long for a few years. Well, I'd offer to brush it from time to time when she was stressed out. We'd watch some TV or talk and I'd brush her hair for a bit. It had become a frequent request of hers. But I'd been getting a bit tired of it. One day she asks me to brush her hair and I say, I dunno. I've been kind of in the mood. I don't really feel like brushing your hair with blue BLLS. We were being silly about it as we don't usually consider either of these actions transactional. But she told me it was a deal and shook my hand. Our daughter will be 5 in the spring. Apparently brushing hair leads to minivans. Who would have thought? Not me personally. But a friend of mine once said, please. I need this at the end of his date. Pity FCKS are the worst to receive. I have fruit gushers. Wanna come over? Playing around with some handcuffs we stole from the local police station. They were on an example duty belt on the wall near the university while waiting for a friend to get released on a public intoxication charge. Long story. Anyway, at some point my drunka accidentally locked a cuff on myself on the walk back from the police station. And not wanting to be alone in the ordeal, I accidentally locked the other one on this cute casual acquaintance that was with the police station group that night. Night went on. We get back to the dorms and keep drinking. Everybody starts making fun of us. At some point we actually start talking about how we're going to get these off. I make the suggestion that we should walk over to my off-campus apartment to get my toolkit. Maybe we could get it off with a punch on the hinge. She gives me this squint-eyed grin saying, "Yeah, that's why we're going back to your F King apartment." 6 years later. We have a Labrador and an L is on Wednesdays. I dated this girl through part of high school who was F King nuts, but she let me do all kinds of dirty things to her. Even after we broke up, she would hit me up every once in a while for a BTI call. While we were dating, she had a best friend who obviously had a crush on me, but I was not attracted to at all. Fast forward a few years and I get a call from my then ex, and she tells me she owed her best friend a big favor and was supposed to call me to see if I would be willing to F her friend. I was a NY teen and it had been a while, so I agreed. I went over to the friend's place and my ex was there with her. The friend and I start going at it and I'm instantly regretting it because I'm not into her at all. I'm going through the motions when all of a sudden I see a flash. I look over and my ex is taking pictures. I don't know what that crazy bee would do with the pictures, so I stop what I'm doing and go for the camera, and she runs outside. I throw my clothes on and run outside, but she had hidden the camera. A lot of arguing back and forth ends up with her saying she will give me the camera back if I F her. We went behind some bushes and I earned the camera. Was at a karaoke bar and had been talking to this girl for a good half hour or so. She was a theater major. And said that if I could impress her on stage she'd think about going home with me. I'm a pretty stocky guy. So I went up there and sang part of Your World from The Little Mermaid with as much passion and flair as I could muster. Ended up having a pretty solid night with her. Female friend. I said, "I bet you want F me." Apparently she couldn't resist a bet even when there's nothing at stake. She won that bet, but I'm pretty sure I won by losing. I was at a college party and this girl asked me for a cigarette. I asked her if she wanted to FCK. We smashed in the alleyway about a block away. As I think about it, so many situations were ridiculously silly or cliché. Me, listen. Why won't you come over to my place? I'll make you a toast. Her, yeah. I actually like toasts. An hour later. In the kitchen. When making toasts, me, this toaster generates so much heat. I think you don't need this top. Her, hey. You're right. Another situation. Another girl, her, I need some help painting a wall in my apartment. A few hours later. Me, done. Her, boy. Are you dirty? Take this off. Another girl, her, who would show me the city. I'm new harem-y, waving enthusiastically. Then walking her around the city. Me, well. We saw a few places. But you still haven't seen my place. Why did I read this in a German accent? Walked to a girl at a party and said, "CM with me if you wanna live." She played along and acted all scared. The best part, I called her Sarah the whole time. And when she asked me what's my name, I said T900. When we split that night, I said, "I'll be back." I actually pulled a Shermanator. God. I'm old. Haha, holy s, that's amazing. Never thought there would be a real-life successful Shermanator. Me and my best girl friend were smoking WD. For her the first time. I've smoked before, but it must have been 2 years since I last touched a joint. We were smoking on the balcony. It was a warm summer night. And laughed our ass off, obviously. Eventually, we went inside and just watched TV. All of a sudden, she asked if I ever got a BLW job. I replied with yes, and asked if she ever gave one before. Her answer was no, on which she immediately went down my pants and went all on it. Without warning. I could not believe what happened, but we ended up F-king for over 2 hours. That devil's grass. Bruh. That S makes you so F-king horny. Met a woman on a local Facebook group. After chatting for a bit, I discovered she would be a useful business contact because her husband was the director of a trade guild. I requested a meeting to see if it was worth pursuing. She thought business discovery was a coy way of hooking up. Did it anyways. I had a girl accuse me of telling people IFK'd her. We only did IRL and I hadn't told anyone yet. It was however in the middle of her living room and her roommates were the only ones there and whoever she may have told. I reminded her of this and the guy who confronted her, he was into her, was a good friend of her roommate. Needless to say her roommate got yelled at and I got an apology. BJ. Got married. Just take the damn upvote and go. Dad. Silliest seduction method? Was talking to a girl I knew for a while at a college party my senior year and we were pretty drunk. She mentioned how she was hungry. And I, feeling pretty emboldened by liquid courage, offered her to have some of my ethnic sausage. Yes, I know, kinda crude, but I was expecting it to be a Hail Mary, where either it would either work or at worst, I get slapped. To my surprise, she found it really funny, laughed pretty hard and agreed. And no, she did not try to bite or eat me, as that's a different story, though would have been ironically funny. The silliest thing I did to be silly, but somehow surprisingly worked in seducing a girl was from a photobomb. Again, young drunk me likes to be an asshole and play around when people try to take photos. Usually, most people find it hilarious. Some get annoyed, but this one time at a bar, a group of girls were trying to take a selfie and I snuck in to take a nice photobomb. Some of the girls were annoyed but one of them thought it was hilarious and that I did a great photobomb. She was really cute and we ended up talking for the rest of the night and hitting it off. It really is weird how being obnoxious kinda works. TBH. One of my coworkers, we're good friends and had hanged out after work a few times, was telling my other coworker about how she's tired of being a virgin and just wanted to lose it already. I started laughing because I couldn't believe she was a virgin. She had a steady stream of boyfriends. Was insanely hot. She was a model and competed in pageants. She was a massive flirt. Anyways, she starts swearing up and down that she is and my other coworker vouches for her so I'm like, oh it. Nice. She then asks me if I want to take her virginity. Obviously I didn't fcken say no. It was just a one-time thing though. A girl I was seeing had a small get-together at her house and we were drinking in her hot tub. As the night went on people started leaving so there were only 5 of us left in the jacuzzi. The girl I was dating decided to take body shots off of her friend. Like down her lower back so her face was planted between her ass. She said, don't go getting a boner on us, and I said, too late. Well, her friend Bree asked if she could see it and Madison said sure. But no touching, so I pulled it out of my swimsuit and had a pretty massive ction inches from their faces. She liked what she saw and snuck into the bathroom when me and Madison showered and asked if she could join. We ended up having a some that night and again the next morning. My time to shine. So I went out drinking with a friend and after midnight of quite uneventful evening we went to see his 3 girlfriends into a bar. The 2 girls were weird and annoying and I was not in a mood for trying to impress them or whatever. The 3rd girl, hot, was silent the whole time. Quite tipsy and was doing a crossword puzzle. Without words I just sat next to her. We shared a look. Then she kept going for the crossword puzzle. Every time I knew an answer to something I took the pen and wrote the word into it. After about 15 minutes of this she took my hand and said let's go home. I said okay. That was the only thing I said to her until then. Took a cab and yes. SX was had. D was a good night.